Good morning and welcome to the new class of BA Part 1 English Literature students. Today we will begin by looking at the biography of the poet Edmund Spenser, whose poem Ice and Fire is prescribed for you in Paper 1. First, let us take a look at the biography of Edmund Spenser. Edmund Spenser, born in the year 1552 and died in 1599, ranks as the foremost English poet of the 16th century. Famous as the author of the unfinished epic poem The Faerie Queene, he is the poet of an ordered yet passionate Elizabethan world. Elizabethan means belonging to the age of Queen Elizabeth I. Edmund Spenser was a man of his times, and his work reflects the religious humanistic ideals as well as the intense but critical patriotism of Elizabethan England. His contributions to English literature in the form of a heightened and enlarged poetic vocabulary, a charming and flexible verse style, and a rich fusing of the philosophic and literary currents of the English Renaissance entitle him to a rank not far removed from that of William Shakespeare and John Milton. Spenser was the son of a London tailor, but his family seems to have had its origin in Lancashire. Lancashire is a district in England. The poet was admitted to the newly founded Merchant Tailors' School about 1561 as a poor scholar. The curriculum at school, meaning the syllabus at school, included Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. Music and drama were stressed, and the English language was also a subject of study, then a novelty. In other words, it was something new to study the English language. In 1569, Spenser went to Cambridge, where he entered Pembroke College as a Caesar. Caesar means a student who earns his tuition by acting as a servant to wealthy students. He spent 7 years at the university, gaining his Bachelor of Arts degree in 1572 and his Master of Arts degree in 1576. Records of the period reveal that Spenser's health was poor, but that he had an excellent reputation as a student. He studied Italian, French, Latin, and Greek, read widely in classical literature and in the poetry of the modern languages, and authored some Latin verse. At Cambridge, Spenser came to know Gabriel Harvey, lecturer in rhetoric and a man of letters, who proved to be a faithful and long-term friend and advisor. Diplomatic activities. After completing his studies, Spenser seems to have spent some time in Lancashire, possibly with his relatives. This sojourn means a short stay at a place that is not your own home, in the north, increased his familiarity with the northern dialect. Dialect means a form of a language, which later exerted a considerable influence on the language of the Shepherd's Calendar. The Shepherd's Calendar is another long poem written by Edmund Spenser. Shortly after leaving the university, Spenser also spent time in the service of the powerful Earl of Leicester, regarded as the head of the Puritan faction in the government. Some hints in Spencer's correspondence and in his published work suggest that he may have travelled as an envoy for Leicester to Ireland, Spain, France, and Italy. Envoy means ambassador or messenger. In any case, in 1578, Spencer was named secretary to the former master of his college, John Young, who now Bishop of Rochester. Spencer probably composed the major part of the Shepherd's Calendar at Rochester. By Easter 1579, Spencer was back in London, in daily contact with Gabriel Harvey and Edward Kirk, and much involved in literary discussions, especially those about Harvey's project of introducing classical Latin and Greek non-rhyming meters into English verse. Probably at this time, Spencer made the acquaintance of Sir Philip Sidney, the poet and courtier. Courtier means in Hindi what we understand as Raj Darbari. By now, Spencer had written a considerable quantity of poetry, but he had published nothing. Upon the advice of his friends, he decided to make his literary debut into the with the Shepherd's Calendar in 1579, which he dedicated to Sidney. Debut means his first entrance into the literary world as a writer. This work, consisting of 12 pastoral eclogues, uses the pastoral conventions as vehicles of allegorical and satirical allusions to contemporary political and religious problems, as well as to the poet's own life and loves. Spencer in this work shows the influence of such classical and foreign models as Virgil, Jacopo Sannazaro, and Clement Marot, but he also acknowledges a considerable debt to Geoffrey Chaucer and to other English sources. The work is specially important for its naturalization in English of a variety of poetic forms, dirges, complaints, paeans, and for its attempt to enrich the English poetic vocabulary through foreign borrowings and through the use of archaic and dialect words. Allusions and letters from this period of Spencer's life show that he was busy with a variety of literary projects. Spencer was already at work on The Faerie Queene and on a number of the poems eventually collected in his Complaints. Meanwhile, he was also studying law and hoping for a place in diplomacy or civil service. His efforts were rewarded in 1580 when, through the influence of the Earl of Leicester, he was named secretary to Lord Grey, the new Lord Deputy of Ireland. That same year, Spencer accompanied Grey to Dublin. Ireland was to remain Spencer's home for the rest of his life. Grey was recalled in 1582, but Spencer remained, holding a variety of government posts and participating at first in the cultivated life of Dublin Anglo-Irish society. Increasingly, however, the poet's financial interests and administrative duties took him to Munster, which is in southern Ireland. In 1586, he leased Kilcommon Castle in County Cork and he lived there after 1588. The Fairy Queen. For some years, Spenser had been working on the Fairy Queen. By 1589, 3 books were complete. When Sir Walter Raleigh visited the poet in the early autumn of that year, Raleigh was so impressed with his work that he took Spenser with him back to England. In November 1589, they arrived in London, and early in the following year, the first 3 books of Spenser's most famous work were published, with an elaborate dedication to Queen Elizabeth I. Spenser's ambition was to write the great English epic. His plan was to compose 12 books, each concerned with one of the moral virtues as classified by Aristotle. Each of these virtues was to be embodied in a knight. Thus, the poem would combine elements of the romance of chivalry, the handbook of manners and morals, and the national epic. The Fairy Queen can be read on various levels as an allegory of the eternal struggle between good and evil in every form, as a poetic statement of an ethical system, and as a historical allegory portraying the struggle between the pure Protestant traditions of England and the manifold threats of England's Roman Catholic neighbours. Allusions to contemporary political and religious controversies are numerous. The philosophy underlying Spenser's epic combines 3 strands. Strands means there are 3 threads running through the poem. Platonism, which, as seen through the eyes of Renaissance commentators, stress the harmony between love and beauty on the human and divine levels, is blended with the less imaginative and more concrete Aristotelianism of the scholastic tradition, with its disciplined analysis of careful reflection on the moral life, which Spenser had probably learned in school. These 2 elements are penetrated by a strong Calvinistic Christianity, stressing man's weaknesses, his need for a strict moral life, and the total dependence of humanity on the atonement of Christ. Thus, the work itself is a fine example of an attempted synthesis between the traditions of Christianity and those of classical antiquity that characterizes all the best productions of the Renaissance. Spenser's style is distinctively his own. He attempted to create a remote, old-fashioned atmosphere through the use of archaic diction, strange neologisms, and forgotten terms of chivalry. Yet, because of his clear and straightforward syntax, few of his passages are obscure even to a modern reader. For his verse form, Spenser created a new stanza which has since been often imitated in English literature. It consists of 9 lines, 8 lines of iambic pentameter, concluding with an alexandrine, which means an iambic hexameter, arranged in the rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C, C, etc. The harmonious and orderly movement of this Spenserian stanza fits the slow, ample, and cumulative pace of the whole work. The publication of the first 3 books of the Fairy Queen met with much acclaim. Acclaim means to give or get public approval and praise. हिंदी में जिसे हम प्रशंसा कहते हैं. Spenser remained in London for more than a year, enjoying fame and making many friends. But he did not succeed in attaining a sufficiently lucrative Lucrative means producing a great deal of profit, means जिसमें आर्थिक फ़ायदा हो. Post in the home government. Spencer was now by no means a poor man, and his wealth was increased by the substantial annual pension that was the reward for his poem. Substantial means of considerable importance, size or worth, यानी कि पर्याप्त मात्रा में. Annual means वार्षिक, साल में एक बार. But in courtly circles he was a decidedly minor figure. In 1591, probably in the spring, Spencer returned to Ireland, famous but disappointed. The complaints. Before leaving London, Spencer prepared for publication a collection of minor poems under the title of Complaints. A hint of Spencer's mood at this time might have been expressed in this volume's subtitle, which goes like Sundry Small Poems of the World's Vanity. However, most of its contents had been composed years before. The most important of the poems in this volume is Mother Hepburn's Tale, a satire that had gained a notoriety a decade earlier. Notoriety means a state of being well known for something bad, मतलब जिससे बदनामी जुड़ी हुई हो. This poem satirizes Queen Elizabeth's projected marriage to the French Catholic Duke of Alençon, a prospect that had greatly alarmed the Puritan faction at court. Prospect means a thought about what may or will happen in the future, यानी कि भविष्य में कुछ होने की संभावना. And a Puritan is a person who has high moral standards and who thinks it is wrong to enjoy yourself, यानी कि जो व्यक्ति नैतिकतावादी होता है. Faction means a small group of people among a larger one whose members have some different aims and beliefs to those of the larger group, यानी कि जिसको हम हिंदी में गुट कहते हैं. एक बड़े समूह में एक छोटा समूह. The work is important not only because of its political implications. Implications means something that is suggested or said indirectly, but also because of its express, means clearly stated, able use of medieval English sources and conventions. Also included in the complaints were revised and enlarged versions of Spencer's youthful translations from Joachim du Bellay and Petrarch. Joachim du Bellay was a French poet and Petrarch was a Latin or Italian poet. A poem entitled The Ruins of Time, celebrating the family of the Earl of Leicester and Sir Philip Sidney, and another called Tears of the Muses, which lamented the poverty and neglect suffered by poets. Somewhat lighter in tone is Virgil's Gnat, a free translation of the Culex, a humorous ancient poem which is attributed to Virgil. Virgil was an ancient Greek poet. In this work, Spencer tells allegorically, and an allegory is a story or play or poem or picture or other works in which the character, यानी कि जिसे हम पात्र कहते हैं, and events यानी कि घटनाएं represent particular moral यानी नैतिक, religious यानी कि धार्मिक और political qualities or ideas. और इस allegory को हिंदी में कहते हैं प्रतीकात्मक. Of his discomfiture. Discomfiture means a feeling of unease or embarrassment. जब बेचैनी होती है या व्याकुलता होती है किसी बात को लेके, resulting from the adverse political reactions to Mother Hepburn's Tale. Other works. Late in 1591, after returning to Ireland, Spencer wrote the greater part of Colin Cloud's Come Home Again, an idealized poetic autobiography dedicated to Raleigh. It ranks as one of Spencer's most charming poems, narrating in the allegorical terms of the then popular pastoral convention. Pastoral means connected with pleasant country life ya gaon wala. Convention means tradition. The story of his reception in London and his impressions, which were mostly negative, of court life. Shortly afterwards, Spencer compiled a collection of poems dedicated to the memory of Sir Philip Sidney. To this collection, he contributed the first elegy, Astrophil. This collection was published together with Colin Cloud's Come Home Again in 1595. Meanwhile, Spencer was courting Elizabeth Boyle, an Anglo-Irish woman of a well-connected family. They were married on June 11, 1594. His sonnet sequence, Amoretti, and his Epithalamion together form an imaginatively enhanced poetic chronicle of his courtship and marriage. Some of the Amoretti sonnets were probably written earlier, but Spencer intended this collection to represent the fluctuations and emotions of his love for his wife. Written in frequent imitation of such French and Italian sonneteers as Philip Despots and Torquato Tasso, Spencer's sonnets, representing one of the most popular poetic forms of his period, are graceful, if not great. However, his Epithalamion is generally acknowledged to rank among the greatest love poems in English. In this love poem, a lover's passion blends with a deeply religious sensibility, calling upon classical myth and medieval legend to create an intricate pattern of allusions and evocations. Late in 1595, Spencer returned to London, again staying for more than a year. He published during this visit to the capital 3 more books of the Fairy Queen. The Prothalamion, written to celebrate the double wedding of 2 daughters of the Earl of Worcester, and the 4 hymns, poems that concern his Platonic conceptions of love and beauty. The final period. Spencer seems to have returned to Ireland sometime in 1597 and to have resumed his work on the Fairy Queen. 2 more cantos of a succeeding book were published posthumously, meaning after his death in 1609, but most of what he wrote in these years has been lost. Spencer was temporarily without political office, but in September 1598 he was named Sheriff of Cork. Sheriff can be understood as the superintendent of police. He had hardly taken control of that office before, in October of the same year, the Earl of Tyrone's rebellion, a generalized revolt of the Irish people, broke out in Munster. Spencer's castle was burned and the poet was forced to flee, means run away, with his family, which now included 4 young children. In December, the provincial governor sent Spencer as a messenger to Queen Elizabeth. He arrived in the capital at the end of 1598, much weakened by the hardships of the preceding months. Spencer presented his messages to the Queen, together with a personal statement, reiterating, means repeating, his position on the Irish question. Soon after his arrival, he became seriously ill and he died in London on January the 16th, 1599. Spencer was buried near other poets in Westminster Abbey. That's all regarding the biography of Edmund Spencer. In the next lesson, we will look at the poem Ice and Fire, written by Edmund Spenser, which is prescribed for you in English Literature, Paper 1.